Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to another live stream. Once again, going back to the RF Generation Shmup Club game of the month, and that is Lightning Force, my personal favorite shoot 'em up of all time. And yes, this is indeed my copy I had since I was 14. It is in my JVC-Xi right now. That is pumped through my OSSC, and I've got my official Sega Genesis 6-button pad here that I'm going to be playing with. So, let's just jump right in here and get started. So, welcome to Wes and to Herb Wars. Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it. Oh, better mute my phone. Hey, thank you so much, Herb Wars. I appreciate that. I haven't sold many shirts, so I appreciate the purchase and helping to support me with what I'm doing here, and obviously the podcast. Alrighty, so switch my TV over to the right input. We will get rolling. You have to let me know how the audio balance is as I get going here. I was playing this at lunch on my Switch and managed to reach level 9 again. Didn't quite get the boss, and things kind of fell apart in stage 8. I lost a bunch of lives, but I'm hoping to find a groove here and maybe get some more progress. See if I can maybe either do better or even beat the stage 9 boss. Whoa, good grief. My dogs are going nuts. Shooter Space Shot. Welcome, Video Game Lover 58. Yeah, Shooter Space Shot is an interesting little game. It's not very well remembered because it was a budget title. It's also not particularly great, but it's fun because it has a sort of goofy, kind of campy feel to it. It's a total mess. But I actually was lucky enough to find that one early on in my PlayStation collecting. At least early on, you know, after it released, and I played through it. It was kind of amusing and funny, just because of how off the wall it is. And I don't know, it's kind of a fun game if you don't take it very seriously and understand that it's pretty much what some, I guess you could say, Japanese gamers would refer to as kusoge. Or, you know, Japanese basically for crap game. But it's kind of fun in its own goofy way. Oh yeah, $10, that's not bad. It was a budget title. So I want to say when it first sold, it was maybe a $20 game. But they were going bargain bin after probably a year. So I picked up my copy. Might have been still sealed for $5. So $10 now isn't bad. Being the shoot 'em up aficionado that you are, or at least that, you know, that I've kind of seen in you. It would be one that would be fun to stream for a few laughs, just because it's kind of terrible. So it would be fun to play on stream or what have you for that reason alone, just because it's not particularly great. So that actually is one that I would maybe like to stream myself at some point. Obviously, I want to stream some of the greats on PlayStation, like Raystorm, Einhander. Oh yeah, $10 still sealed. That's buy, as far as I'm concerned. Even terrible games when they're still sealed like that, you know, usually worth picking up, even if you can just flip it. But yeah, that one I would say, you know, if you can find it again, buy it at 10 bucks. There are worse things you can, there's way worse ways that you can spend $10. Oh yeah, it'll probably still be there. Yeah, it's not very well recognized or well loved. And it's so generic because of the title, and I think most of the Age Tech releases are like that, where they just look so generic that, you know, they're all pretty nondescript. So I would say you'll probably get away with picking that one up, and it's unlikely that anyone but a serious collector would have noticed it or picked it up. Biggest shock was a CIB near mint copy of UN Squadron for SNES at Salvation Army for $8 2 years ago. Wow, that is amazing. That is definitely a score you don't want to pass up. Oh, and welcome, Pondering Ghost. Thank you for coming over. Yes, I know you want Daddy's attention. You are not gonna quit, are you, dog? Silly goose. Alright, let me get past this boss here. Oh no. Oof. Slow down is a gift. Tell you what. In this game, slow down is a gift. Ah! Herb Wars. I make shooters look easy. Well, I probably make the first few levels of this game look relatively easy because, as I said, this is a childhood favorite, and I played a ton of it. And I've also been playing a ton of it the last couple of weeks, so that's probably part of it. I've kind of reawoken some of the muscle memory that I had as a kid and relearned some of this stuff, and also have been kind of, you know, routing the game a little bit, remembering where some key spots were and all of that. So trying to remember enemy placement and things. I mean, I'm still occasionally dying on this level from enemies that, like that. Oh, good grief. Turkeys. Oh, and then this guy is kind of a doofus. Alright. Come on. Die. One up. Definitely need that. May not end up taking this guy down. Whoa. Just about ran into that bullet there. Did I play this one before? Thunder Force 3 or SG? What's SG? Yeah, I actually bought this as a kid. It was the very first, I would say, real shoot 'em up that I ever bought. And I had a couple of older shareware games on my PC, you know, family home computer growing up that were shoot 'em ups. This will date me, but stuff like Star Goose or like the early Apogee and Epic Mega Games stuff. Oops. Like Major Striker or Overkill, early DOS shoot 'em ups, stuff like that. And of course, early versions of Raptor. But this was the first console shoot 'em up that I ever owned, and it just absolutely blew me away. So I didn't get Thunder Force 3 until many years later. I don't ever remember seeing it in stores. But I didn't get my Genesis until 91. And so, you know, I got this the following year when it came out. And I just saw the box on the shelf, and I said the name looked cool, and then I looked at the art, and the art looked cool, and then I looked at the back of the box, and the screenshots looked cool, and everything just was appealing to me. So I just went for it. And everything about the game, as far as I'm concerned, is just insanely good. You know, the graphics are amazing, the locales are sweet, and the designs of everything are awesome. The soundtrack is amazing. Some of the best use of the Genesis sound. But Technosoft, you know, something that is fairly common knowledge now, but still a lot of people don't necessarily know or, you know, have a ready knowledge of, is the fact that the Sega Genesis has the sound chip for the Sega Master System built into it, because it has essentially Sega Master System hardware on board, and so a lot of the later Sega developed games utilized both the Yamaha 2612 chip that was for the Genesis and the Master System PSG chip to make sound from both at the same time. So you could have more complex music and sound by utilizing a sound channel or two for sound effects on the Genesis, but then also utilize the PSG chip to offer some melodic elements or background stuff. And so competent developers and then wizards like Technosoft were able to take those things and layer them together to make much more rich and robust soundtracks. And so Lightning Force or Thunder Force 4 is one of those games that really utilized the strengths of the Genesis sound hardware and just absolutely knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. Whoops! Oh, I missed the one up. That was goofy. I just sailed right over top of it. Let's see, Wes played Thunder Force 3 first, knew there was a 4, but didn't know it was called Lightning Force until maybe 10, 11 years ago. Yeah, see, and I knew about Thunder Force 2 because I had seen it in ads and stuff for the Genesis launch, and I was kind of peripherally aware of Thunder Force 3, but I didn't really know anything about these games. And so, yeah, it was literally just, I saw the box, it looked awesome, so I bought it because I had money and I wanted a game. Pondering says, box art and screenshots, that was sold. That's what sold you back in the day. I miss those days. The experience of going into a store and walking in an arcade can't be replicated. No, you're absolutely right. I was at an arcade last night. There's a new arcade that's opened up here in my city, and it's huge. And of course, it's there's a lot of different. There's a huge variety of games now because there's everything from traditional stuff like skee ball and pinball and things like that to fighting games to air hockey and all that stuff, and even a couple of shoot 'em ups in this particular arcade. They've got mostly the Nessica live cabinets, and they've got Raiden 4, and they also have Shikigami no Shiro 2, which I was a little surprised to see. So I've played that a couple of times in there, even though I've got the PlayStation 2 version. And anyway, yeah, it's an experience that you really can't replicate. I mean, it's cool to have arcade experiences at home, but there's just something about that risk factor of putting your money into that machine and not really knowing unless you know you're good at it, not really knowing if you're going to last more than 30 seconds, especially in a shoot 'em up or a really hard game like, well, I'll say really hard for someone like me when I was 8 years old, like the original Shinobi, for example. The first couple of times I played that game, I didn't last long. But that was the kind of the mystery and the fun of arcades like that, is that you walked into those places or, go to the local pizza joint or burger joint, and, there's a Street Fighter 2 machine in the corner, and you go and play that, and you never know if the kid who's there who you're about to face has been playing it for 6 weeks and knows all the moves and all the combos and is going to kick your butt in 10 seconds, or if you're going to be able to kind of button mash your way to victory because this guy's a noob as well. And so that experience is hard to replicate anywhere else. So yeah, I miss those days too. And I do miss the days where you can walk into a store and see awesome boxes like this and go, whoa, and be totally blown away. And then, you know, that, and then looking at the back and seeing, look at how cool this game looks. And that being what ultimately draws you in. So yeah, I mean, I still try to do that at some point. We're so saturated now with the internet and with all of that, that most of this stuff, you know, you can walk into a store and see a game on the shelf, and somewhere along the way, you've probably seen a screenshot of it somewhere. If you're into the hobby and you visit websites like Wikipedia, and I'll just name drop a few: Hardcore Gaming 101 or Giant Bomb, or I don't know, any number of websites. And so a lot of these games, even if you don't have any real familiarity with them, you may still have seen a screenshot or a little snippet of a YouTube video that had some footage of it, because someone that you follow might have played it or used it for part of their intro or something. So it's hard to replicate that. It's still fun, though, to walk into a store and see a game that you've never heard of and pick it up and look at the art and then look at the screenshots on the back, and otherwise, sight unseen, you know, if it's cheap enough, especially in a used store or at Goodwill or pawn shop or whatever, knowing nothing about it and saying, yep, I'm going to buy that. So there's still a little bit of that left, unless you completely scoured the internet for pictures of everything. But welcome, Disco Cola. Is that the one downtown? Not to disclose our city. Wait a second. Are you... I'm in Lincoln. So if you're in Lincoln or in Omaha, we should connect. And hey, Brandon, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming in. Trailers, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hyperlight Drifter, Dandara, and Iconoclasts. I need to watch the Iconoclasts trailer because I keep hearing about it, and I keep hearing good things about it, but I know nothing about it. I just haven't, you know, sought it out. And so I need to check that one out. So maybe I'll have to go watch a trailer for that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pondering, you're right. When arcades were the top of technology, top of the line, and consoles couldn't replicate. Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was, even in the 16-bit era, when you had reasonably good ports of things like... Oh, Stefan! Yes, Stefan. Okay, cool. I think I tried to look up your channel. I don't remember if I followed it or not. But yes. Okay, good. So we have met. No, I was talking about the new one, the new arcade in the mall, round one. But yeah, even when you had reasonably good ports of things like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, NBA Jam, you know, games of that caliber, it wasn't the same playing it at home. I mean, I love Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES and Street Fighter 2 Championship on the Genesis, but it's not the same. You're absolutely right. I'll just digress for a minute here, and then I'll get back to the game. But Mortal Kombat's a good example because the first time I played that game, I had heard about it and I had seen some stuff about it, but I didn't really have a chance to play it. So the very first time that I played Mortal Kombat was in Salt Lake City. I was on a trip. It was like a 10-day camp thing that I went on, and you know, this group, it was like 50 kids all hop in a bus with a handful of sponsors and chaperones, and we all went to see sights around the country, and we stopped in Salt Lake City to see a few things. And there's this kind of smallish amusement park there. And they had a big arcade. And Mortal Kombat was the hot new thing. So they had this machine that some of you guys may have seen in modern arcades now, where you have the world's largest Pac-Man machine or things like that. And they've got one here at the arcade where it's this huge screen made up of colored LEDs and stuff, and then there's sort of a podium with the joysticks and stuff on it that sits in front of you. Well, they had a setup similar to this with this giant, I don't know, 60-inch screen. And it wasn't a CRT, so it must have been early LCD technology, because this was in the mid-90s. But, hey, Adam, welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. But anyway, huge screen. And seeing Mortal Kombat on this giant screen, and then this little podium standing in front of you with your 2 joysticks and your buttons that you could go in and, you know, pop in your 25 or 50 cents, whatever it was, and just play that blew my mind. I must have been like 14, 15 at the time. And that was incredible. And so, yeah, experiences like that you can't truly replicate at home. I mean, yeah, you can buy arcade hardware or do a MAME cabinet or something like that, but that experience of going into the arcade, seeing these games for the first time, stuff that is way more powerful than anything that your home computer or game consoles could do, that was a special time in the history of gaming. And I think, as fun as arcades are still for me to go and visit, that element of it is lost. And so, gosh, you guys are getting me all nostalgic. Oh yes, Killer Instinct blew my mind too. I played a ton of Killer Instinct at the university that I went to in the student union. They had Killer Instinct, might have been Killer Instinct Gold. I want to say there was an arcade cabinet of that. It was either Killer Instinct Gold or Killer Instinct 2, but yeah, that one blew me away, and I played a ton of that. That was awesome. Ah! Don't kill me. Yeah, arcades, man. I have so many memories of the local burger joint in the town I grew up in. Going in with my stack of quarters and, you know, throwing a quarter or 50 cents up on the Street Fighter 2 machine, you know, up by the screen there, saying, I got next. You know, that was just... You just don't see that anymore. So, it was a very fun and cool time, I think. Yo! Let's take that guy out. Whoa! Losing shield. There we go. Take you guys out before you got a chance to take any more of my shield. Yeah, Disco Cola, you definitely need to go check out round 1. It's quite impressive. They have a ton of stuff in there. Plus, they have bowling. I did that last night. And they've got party rooms with karaoke and stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's a little pricey. I mean, their arcade games are a little pricey, but if you buy the swipe card that you can fill up with credits, and you put a higher amount of credits on it up front, they give you a lot more bonus credits. So it's a little bit, it doesn't quite come out to 25 cents per credit. So it's a little bit more equitable that way. It's more like, you know, 18 or 20 cents or something like that. Yo. Oof. Skin of my teeth there. Goblin, hey, thanks for coming by, man. Welcome to the stream. Whoa. Okay, now I gotta really be on my guard here. Oh. Woo! Okay. Oof. Doing great, Goblin. How about yourself? Oh yeah. That gets me. Yikes. Well, I've got an opportunity to pick up another... Oops, another, what you call it? Good grief, I can't even think today. Another claw here. Right there. And I should have another opportunity to refresh my shield here before too long. always seem to run into one of those laser shots of his. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Ah, another time. Yo! You guys are crowding me. Alright. See what I got here. Uh-oh. There goes my shield. Oh, those are always nerve-wracking. Even when I know they're coming. They're so huge. Oh. Yay. Woo! Ah, what's more daunting, the lava here or in the SNES Aladdin carpet stage? Oh, man. Well, at least the lava here doesn't hurt you, other than in a couple of spots. It's mostly just awesome background graphics. Mostly it's the rock formations. Yeah. Pondering Ghost. Pretty soon be topping off the final piece to your shmup collection for Neo Geo CD. Can't wait to get it done. Which one is that? I'll be curious to know. Carpet stage on Genesis version of Aladdin was far worse than the NES. You know, I've never played the NES version, but the Genesis version, yes. The carpet stage is pretty harrowing. I missed your comment earlier, Disco Cola. You'll have to lurk there and see if there are enough games your pace to invest in. The Massive Transformers game, yes, I haven't played that yet, but it looks cool. I did play the House of the Dead shooter, which was pretty cool. There are some fun games there, definitely. Survival Suitors, thanks for joining the stream. Just started for collecting for N64. Do you know any good ones for cheap? Oh, Twinkle Star Sprites pondering. Very nice. Like what genres are you into, Survival Suitors? I mean, most of the Nintendo stuff can be had reasonably cheap. It still holds its value okay. Not like GameCube or Super NES, where most Nintendo stuff is still a little bit more expensive. So yeah, I guess it depends on what genres you're looking for. I'm not big. I'm not a big N64 guy. Yeah, Robotron 64. That's one I need to. That's one I need to get into. I need to look that one up. But you know, there's some cool stuff like Jet Force Gemini is not too expensive. GoldenEye's not bad. I actually like the Wii remake of it better, but that's just because it's prettier and has, I think, better control, but I had a ton of fun with the original playing with my cousins. So that was fun. I mean, I would say for N64, cheap is $10, $15 at the most. Anything more than that, and then you're starting to invest a little bit more money. So that's just me. All right. Oh, crud. Ha ha. Well, that was dumb. And I didn't switch my power up beforehand either. Well, I think I just hosed myself. Yeah, that was not good. There we go. Alright, if I can make it through this gauntlet of these turkeys without too much... I don't remember where the secret power-ups are here. Oh, it's too far down. Rats. Doggone it. This is where I always lose it. If I can't get through this mini-boss, this is where I bite it. Rats. Oh, really? Come on now. This is just cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah, losing that the hunter in this level is just not a good idea. If you can at all help it, it's kind of essential, really. Doggone it. Those homing lasers, man. Those are just the worst. Alright, just die already, dude. There you go. You! Oh! Oh my goodness. Wow. I am not in a groove tonight. Oh. Whoa, okay, that was unique. It usually doesn't double back like that. Huh, I wonder if it's because I'm so underpowered. He's changed up his rhythm. Oh, doggone it. Oh, man. Drake Tungsten, welcome to the stream. Yes, intense game indeed, Goblin. Woo! But I'm going to take another run at that because I feel like if I could hold on to the... If I wouldn't have gone the wrong way and boxed myself in with that power up there, I would have done better. Nintendo not following through with the Ultra 64, not receiving Arcade Perfect port of games Cruis'n USA and Killer Instinct as advertised. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I didn't really have any brand loyalty. I mean, I had a Game Boy, and then I sold that and my collection of games to get a Genesis. And then I held on to my Genesis and kind of got out of gaming for a little bit. And then discovered PlayStation in college through through the RA on my floor in the dorm. But didn't really have any money. And even though I thought it was cool, you know, it didn't totally blow me away. It wasn't until a couple of years later when I had a full-time job and I was actually, you know, working and earning money and everything that I was serious about getting into the gaming kind of sphere again. And I went over to a friend's house and he had an original place, or I think he had a DualShock system by then, or I don't remember. The DualShock might have been out by then, but anyway, he had a PlayStation, and we messed around with it, and we played Dark Forces and a couple of other things. Well, then he had this demo disc that he let me play that had the demo for Siphon Filter on it, and that blew me away. And I knew at that point that I really wanted a PlayStation, and it was right after that that we had visited my aunt and uncle, and my cousin had his PlayStation there, and we played a whole bunch of Tekken 2, and that pretty much sealed the deal. So that told me that I needed a PlayStation, and within a month or a month and a half, I had a PlayStation, and I had Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 and Race Storm and Final Fantasy 7 and a couple of other games and Siphon Filter. So yeah, I would tend to agree, Pondering. I mean, I don't know that the games were terrible, but I would say that none of the experiences on the N64 outside of things like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, etc. were that compelling. So I waited to buy an N64 until well into the, you know, kind of mid to late 2000s. So I didn't get a N64 until more than a decade after its arrival. So that that was, it just wasn't something I was that interested in. Ah, Wipeout. Interesting. Yeah, Tekken 2 was big. I spent way more time with Tekken 3. Just loads of hours into that game. I probably had 100 hours into that at least. I never played the Resident Evil games on PlayStation. I thought about it, but I just never did. So actually the first Resident Evil game I ever played was 4. And that wasn't even on the GameCube. It wasn't until it came out on the Wii. So that's a pretty good game though. Yes. Don't always blow up the snake, but I love when I can make that happen. It's such a weird snake-looking thing. Never quite understood that enemy. Couldn't find Nintendo 64s at launch, pondering. Yeah. I can see that. I'm not sure what the deal is with Nintendo and underproducing consoles, but it's a little weird that that became a thing for them. I didn't have any trouble finding the GameCube, though. I was an early adopter. Well, not early adopter, but the GameCube was the first console of that generation that I bought. Mostly because I went over to a friend's house and they were obsessed with Animal Crossing. And it was just kind of the right game at the right time, you know? And I got interested in it as well. So I bought a GameCube and I bought Animal Crossing. And I also got, what is it? SNK versus Capcom versus SNK? Or SNK versus Capcom, whichever one it was. Capcom versus SNK 2 EO or something like that. And that was one that I had a little bit of trouble kind of grabbing onto because it had it was so deep, and I was not into deep fighting games. I just thought, you know, here's a cool game that has some, you know, Street Fighter characters and some King of Fighters stuff, or not King of Fighters, but what was the one that came before that? Fatal Fury stuff. And so I thought, yeah, that would be cool. But it had the capability of using one of the control schemes allowed you to use the analog triggers to determine your level of 3 punches and kicks. And I never quite wrapped my head around that back in the day. I suppose today I could probably, you know, make a go of it, but at the time I didn't quite understand the concept of the analog triggers, so it never really clicked with me. Zelda 2. Oh really? Zelda 2 had issues with supply? That's kind of interesting. I was not aware of that. Seems odd to think about it now as such a flagship franchise, at least here in America. So it's just weird to think of a Zelda game being hard to find, but I suppose anything's possible, right? NFL Blitz. I never tried the NFL Blitz series. I'm not big on sports games, but I know that's more of an arcadey, you know, not a serious sports game, but I don't think I've ever played one, even in the arcade. I did enjoy, what was it? Arch Rivals, the kind of arcadey basketball game where you could sort of beat each other up on the court. That was a fun game. I had a lot of fun with that. That was at the burger joint in my town I grew up in, and it was always fun to throw a few credits into that and you know, play a little bit between. Whoa. I also remember putting a few quarters into, back when I was still sort of almost into baseball, into Bottom of the Ninth, which was kind of a cool little arcadey baseball game. I remember being pretty impressed by the voice samples in that. There we go. A little bit better handle on it this time. Ah, Joker. There we go. Ah. Except I burn more shield again. Oh yeah, Arch Rivals. Arch Rivals was fun. I think I've got that on both NES and Genesis now. That was just a fun game. Just mindless fun. Resident Evil Remake. Yeah, I didn't get that until, what, last year or the year before? I happened to find Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil Zero, both at Goodwill. One of the Goodwill stores I have frequented a number of times over the years. They happen to have both of them. So I picked them up immediately, and I haven't played them yet, but I plan to jump into those at some point. That might be a fun one to stream, just because I've never done it, so it might be fun to do, kind of a first-time experience, since haven't really played much of the Resident Evil series. So yeah, that might be fun to do. I would kind of like to go back and play the original, just for the camp factor. You know, the Jill sandwich and all that fun stuff, but the remake is probably for the quality of life improvements, is probably the way to go, I would assume. Mm. The Genesis version is pretty good, Adam. It's, I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's reasonably close to the arcade. Although the voice samples are, of course, fairly subpar on the Genesis for most things, and I think in that game I would agree. Although I don't think the voices in that game were too high quality in the first place anyway, so you probably wouldn't suffer too much, you know, with a loss in voice quality. I remember the voices in that game not being particularly outstanding. You know, they were all fairly low resolution files or low resolution samples. So, still cool though. You know, the cheerleader when you score a goal, doing that laugh that was so cheesy but funny at the same time. And all the oof and stuff like that when you're punching each other and that. So, that's good stuff. Mario Kart, yes. You've been saying that you're done with Nintendo since N64, but those Mario Kart games always suck you back in. Yes. Mario Kart Wii, I didn't get Double Dash on the GameCube because I wasn't really into the series. But I played Mario Kart Wii at somebody's house, and I immediately was like, I've got to have this. So I went to all the stores, GameStop, Walmart, everywhere. They didn't have them. For months, I would walk into a GameStop or a Walmart or anywhere that sold games, and I could never find one. They were always sold out. And so it took me probably 6-7 months before I finally found it. And then, of course, at that point, then they had a display of them at Walmart. I walked in, there's this huge display of Mario Kart Wii, and I think even a console bundle and a wheel bundle and all of that stuff. And so I picked up a copy of Mario Kart Wii. I bought a wheel. And then I later went and bought a Nerf wheel that I got later. And still have both of those. But yeah, Mario Kart Wii was great. And Mario Kart 8, fantastic. I bought the Wii U version. I don't have it on Switch yet. I'll probably get it eventually, but the Wii U version I put a ton of time into. I took my Wii U with me to a friend's house one time when we were doing a kind of a bachelor party thing for a good friend of mine. And there was a group of us rotating in and out. It was probably 5 or 6 of us there that night. And we were rotating in and out playing Mario Kart 8. And that was awesome. It was a really good time. Pondering Cruisin' USA, Tokyo Wars, Ridge Racer, Sega Super GT, and T2. Yes, T2. I remember the arcade, not local to me, but reasonably close, had a T2 arcade machine, and I loved that with the Uzi bolted on or, you know, connected to the cabinet, and the force feedback on that was awesome. I loved that. Samurai Showdown. I didn't play too much of that. I mostly stuck to Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, and then Fatal Fury and World Heroes some. I played that some. Circuit City, 2 hours before they opened, wait in line to get your Wii and Mario Kart. Yeah. Circuit City. Wow. Funny enough, I just got a TV. It's an older Sony Wiga rear projection LCD. So I actually have two of these things sitting about 10 feet away from me, sitting on the floor. One of which I need to get into the repair shop because I tried to fix it myself and I couldn't. So I need to see if they can bring it back to life. The other one I got for free a few weeks ago. Someone on Facebook here locally was advertising a free TV. And I looked at it and I thought, this is real similar to the one I already have. And they said, it's free. All it needs is a new lamp. Well, that's like $85, and that's a user replaceable part. So you just open up this little door or whatever in there. You buy the new lamp, and you want to go with the OEM lamps because they're brighter and they last longer. But all it needs is the new lamp. Well, along with the TV and the remote and the manual for it, they actually gave me all the paperwork they had from when they bought it. And they bought it from Circuit City back when that was still a thing here. And so, yeah, I immediately felt old because that was almost 10 years ago that they bought that TV. And so, yeah, so I need to get a lamp for that so I can get that thing up and running. And then I can have two large widescreens here in the living room. Power Fighters and Power Battles, yes, both of which are unlockable, I want to say, on the Mega Man Anniversary Collection that came out on GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. Good stuff. They're fun games. They're not spectacular, but they're fun games. Yes, the Anniversary Collection. You know, I don't ever remember hearing about the Mega Man arcade games being in the US. That doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't, but if they did come out here, they may not have been widespread. Or you might have seen one that, was imported. So who knows? That's a good question. I mean, for the Anniversary Collection, they were localized. They don't say Rockman. They say Mega Man. So I gotta believe that they were localized at some level. You know, maybe they were localized and then they decided the market wasn't there for it because Capcom wanted to continue to invest in the Street Fighter brand. But who knows? 36-inch Sony Trinitron Wiga at Circuit City, matching stand for $3,000 when it was state of the art. Yeah, I have a 36-inch. Was it a widescreen? Pondering, because I've got a 36-inch Sony Wiga Trinitron widescreen with one HDMI input and then, composite S-video component, all of that. It's sitting over here on one of my TV stands. That was also free. My friend who we did the bachelor party with Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, his parents were getting rid of that TV. It was their old TV from their basement. And they just were going to throw it out. And he said, no, my friend wants it because he does gaming. And so he hooked me up with that. That was a really awesome friend move there. Oh, okay. You couldn't read yet. So yeah, that's a good question. So it very well could have been an import cabinet. Yeah. These Trinitrons, this 36-incher that I've got here is a beast. It's definitely a 2-person, if not 3-person job to lift it. When I moved here just over a year ago now, gosh, it's been just over a year. It took 3 of us to haul it into the duplex. Yeah, it's insane how heavy those things are. Oh, yeah. Component video and S-video. Oh, pre-HD. Okay. Yeah. This one's an HD CRT, so it does have one S-video input, and I'm using a switcher on it for my PS3 and my Xbox 360. And then it's got two component inputs, which I'm using for my Wii and my PS2. And then I've got... what else? I've got my Jaguar hooked up to it, just RF right now, just because it's close to where I had the Jaguar sitting up. But yeah, really nice screen. Really nice screen. Oh, I'm going to take a drink here. Throat's getting dry. Spending too much time jack-jawing. Not playing my game. But I enjoy chatting. This is awesome. I love talking gaming and reminiscing about some of this stuff. And, you know, none of the guys that I work with are into gaming. And so it's cool to... I shouldn't say none. One of them is, but he's like 20 years my junior. So, you know, he's all about whatever the latest PC big game is. Which is cool. I mean, you know, he's into it, but that's not my scene. At least not right now. Do I have Riding on the Jaguar? No, I wish I did, and that's one of those things that at what point we cover the original Riding on the Shmup Club, I hope to have at some point acquired that. In fact, what I want to do is to have all localized console versions. I've got the Genesis version, I've got the Super NES version, I have Raiden Project on the PlayStation, and Raiden on the TurboGrafx is not horribly expensive. And so what I'm hoping to do is grab all of those and get the Jaguar version so that when we do go through that game, I'll be able to speak, hopefully, pretty in-depthly about all the versions. But Riding on the Jaguar, I haven't really priced it, so I don't know if it's expensive or not. That might be one of those games that, because it's not completely terrible, might actually be one of those that's a little bit pricier. I don't know. You'll have to tell me if I'm in for a rude awakening by looking at it when I'm on eBay. Oh! Shoot, I missed it. Ah, and I took shield hits I didn't need to take. $70. Eh. That's not too bad. But yeah, Raiden Project is great. The only downside to the US version of Raiden Project is that you can rotate the screen vertically, but the controls don't rotate, at least not natively. I think there's a Game Shark code that you can use to do that so that you can rotate. Otherwise, you have to play with your controller vertical like this, which is not ideal. But yeah, in order to get the proper vertical aspect ratio, you can rotate the screen. So if you have a TV that you can rotate, or a monitor, or even like a projector where you can rotate the picture, you can play it in its original 3:4, vertical aspect ratio, which is cool. But Raiden Project is great because it's got Raiden and Raiden 2. It's got the original arcade soundtracks and a decent remixed kind of arranged soundtrack. It's just a nice package. Yeah, that was one that I put a ton of time into when I first bought it. Love the riding games. Uh-oh. There goes my shield. Okay. I think there's maybe a... Oh, I thought maybe there was a... I think maybe the hidden one up is earlier in the level. Oh, Philosoma. See, I like Philosoma. It kind of gets a bad rap because of all the perspectives and it's a little janky. But it's still a fun and interesting game, and has some interesting stuff going on with it. So, I like it. As early in the life as it was, I think it, you know, it represented the PlayStation reasonably well. Especially what they were trying to do with, you know, more advanced graphics and stuff like that. But yeah, I like Philosoma. 60 to 80 for long box riding project. Yeah, that's probably not far off the mark. It's a little pricier these days. But I think it's still probably the best port of the original Raiden out there, really. I can't think of a better one. Oh, lost my shield. Got to be a little bit more careful here. Because I know I've got another shield coming up here, but I'll make sure I don't mess it up. And there we go. Whoa, like that. Alright, let's see if I can not lose my shield this time. Whoa. Alright. You're starting to get a little tricky. There we go. Oh, let's see. Jimmy Happa and other guys host me on their podcast because of my knowledge of stuff. People have questions about shmups. Sega Neo Geo, I'm your man. Cool. Yeah, you'll have to join in one of our Shmup Club months and, you know, find a game that interests you and maybe we'll have you on the podcast. We'll have to see if we can hook that up. And yes, goblin time goes fast. Seems like sometimes it goes too fast. Wow, do I really have 10 lives? That's insane. I can tighten up here. Maybe I can get a little bit better going here. Oh yeah, one hit, baby. I knew it was possible to do one hit on that, but I hadn't pulled it off yet. That's pretty cool. All right. Let's see here. Oh, crud. This is very nerve-wracking. Eh. It's like you gotta find just this very perfect spot in order to take out all of these things with freeway and be out of the line of fire of most stuff. Ah! Except for that. Good grief. Oh, yes. Thank you, Shield. Alright. Shoot the Core Cast is, it's sort of like a wrap-up of our Shmup Club we do every month on RF Generation. So it's usually one game a month that we play, and then the next month we podcast about it. So, for example, we started back in, well, June of last year is the first, was the first thing that we did, which was R-Type. And then we did Gradius, and then we did Raiden 5, and then we played Warning Forever, which is a lesser-known Dojin title, and so on and so forth. And January's game is Lightning Force, of course. Oh, the railgun, I missed it. And so, anyway, we, so here in February, we'll be podcasting about this game. And like in December, we did something a little different. We did two Atari 2600 games, sort of proto shmups, if you will. Spider Fighter and Demon Attack, and so we podcasted about those, and you know, did kind of a side-by-side comparison, and oh man, I lost my shield. And that was fun, but decided to kick the year off in a major way with this. Oh, yes. Got to have this thing. Awesome finds on the LPs. Not sure what you mean by LPs. Do you mean records or... Where comes the... There he comes. Yes! Woohoo! Oh, yeah! Aiyah. Well, it's a good thing I started out with a lot of lives, huh? Good grief. Still don't have my muscle memory on this stage yet. Still kind of remembering and figuring it all out. I remember a lot of it, but a lot of it's still not... Whoa. Oh yeah. All right. Let's see, I gotta go here. All the way to the right, because this dude's going to come up and pull this thing down. I can sneak up and get that guy. Let's see here. Get out in front of him before he goes nuclear. Such close quarters. Oh. Blade. Or as a kid, I thought it said rogue, because the voice samples on this are so low quality. Oh, I hate this part. I hate this part. I hate this part. I can never get through here without a shield. It's kind of frustrating. One up. That's a welcome sight. I really need to try and... I don't remember if I'm supposed to go completely top path. I think I am. Yeah. Do I get the Thunder Sword before the boss? Nope. Shoot. Alright, well, let's see what I can do here. Without the Thunder Sword, this boss is significantly more of a pain. And without Freeway to do more damage to these cannons more quickly, you kind of just have to pick them off a little bit. There we go. Okay, well, let's see what I can make happen here. Yeah. That always gets me. Yeah, you just stay back there and keep your weird chicken head arms to yourself there, buddy. Yeesh. Scary. Ayya! Misjudged that one. Alright, turkey. Ah! Rats, I forgot about that. Ah! Seems I have much to learn. I still have. Some of the stuff you forget over time, and forget some of these goofy boss pattern irregularities, or, you know, bits of strategy that you pick up on when you first play through it. Yes! Oh, heck yes. Oh. Finally hit stage 2. Finally broke 2 million. Alright. Now you're not going to be kind and give me a shield, are ya? Oh. Oh, that's right, those homing lasers. Daggum. Oi! You are a jerk. Oh yeah! No! I don't like you! Don't like you at all. Oh, shield! Oh! And just like that, my shield is toast! Oh! Oh, man! Felt like I was that close. I forgot about how difficult that was on that, because that guy's indestructible, and so what you have to do is destroy the cannon behind him. And yeah, then there's the final boss after that. So, whoo! Oh, man. That was, Kane23, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming in. Oh, man, that was exhilarating. Woo! Okay, well. Score time. Oh, man. Alright. I gotta get a picture of that score to post in the thread. Whoops. Because that's the best I've done so far. Reaching stage 10 and over 2 million. So, gold pack 2, yes! I still need to get the gold packs. That's one of those things that I've wanted for years, and I just have never pulled the trigger on it. I don't know why. But probably because at one time they were really expensive. Onimusha. Yeah, nice. Oh. Wow. That was intense. Oh. I'm going to have to quit here, though, at least, you know, playing. I'll chat with you guys for a little bit more, but yeah, I can't do that again tonight, because that'll be another 45 minutes of crazy to get back there. So, good night to you too, Pondering Ghost. Thanks for coming out and joining the stream. Yeah, wow. Oh, that was intense. I'd forgotten about how much that that sort of indestructible mid boss throws at you. He goes pretty nuts. Quite the assault. So I'm gonna have to try and tighten up my my stuff on level 9. See if I can get through that boss with the shield intact, so I can reach stage 10 with shield intact, and hopefully have a better idea now of what he's gonna throw at me. So I'll be able to better dodge that stuff, and I can feel it. I'm closing in on the 1cc, and then once I've got that done on normal, then maybe I'll let you guys help me decide if I want to switch to Thunder Force 4, which is the Japanese version, and play that on normal, which is harder because there are differences. They made the game easier for us softies here in the West, and they changed some things, and so it'd be interesting to do that. Or if I want to continue on with Lightning Force and try to get the clear on hard, or at least see how far I can get. But anyway, wow, I'm getting close, and I'm feeling really good about it. So pretty pumped about beating the boss in level 9 and even reaching level 10. So anyway, appreciate you guys coming out. Once again, the podcast is Shoot the Core Cast. For those of you who aren't aware, it's my monthly shmup podcast where we talk about the games we play on RF Generation. I know Wes knows about it, and Adam, of course. But for those of you who don't, rfgeneration.com. It's free to sign up. Good forums, good database where you can track your games collection. And we have a monthly shmup playthrough that we do. This month, of course, is Lightning Force and Thunder Force 4. And then we podcast about it the following month. Of course, my YouTube channel, where I do Game Boy reviews, pickups videos, and other things. I'm looking to start getting back to my Game Boy reviews now that I've got my streaming set up here and capture card. I've got cables coming that will finally allow me to start capturing Super Game Boy stuff properly. So both of the reviews I've got in the hopper, which are Hercules and Metroid 2, have Super Game Boy functionality, so I'm looking very forward to getting those done. And so those will be forthcoming once I get those cables in and kind of get into the flow. I'll be streaming more of the Messenger, and also looking to stream some other stuff once I get done with that. So just, keep watching for notifications, and if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter at GameBoyGuru, and yeah, thanks everybody for coming out, for chatting, for hanging out, and helping me get closer to my 1cc goal of Lightning Force on normal difficulty. So, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.